Waves of Solitude. The sun cast a golden hue over the tranquil town of Hemp, where the waves gently kissed the shore and the salty breeze whispered secrets to those who cared to listen. It was in this picturesque town that Albie and Kelly grew up, their lives intertwined since they could remember. Albie, with his unruly black hair and piercing green eyes, was a dreamer, forever lost in the world of colors and canvases. Kelly, with her cascading curls and thoughtful brown eyes, was a storyteller, weaving tales of wonder and adventure. Their bond was unspoken yet profound, a silent agreement that they would always be there for each other. Albie's art often featured Kelly as his muse, her essence captured in every brushstroke. Kelly's stories, though fictional, always carried a hint of Albie's influence, his presence felt in every line and character she created. One sunny afternoon, as Albie and Kelly sat by the hemp, lost in their own thoughts, a stranger arrived in town. Nancy, with her striking features and an air of mystery, captured the attention of everyone she encountered. Her past was a puzzle, her motives unclear, but she carried herself with a grace and confidence that made it impossible not to be intrigued. Albie was the first to meet her, their paths crossing in the local market. He was immediately struck by her beauty, his artist's eye appreciating every detail of her face. They exchanged pleasantries, and he offered to show her around town. As they walked and talked, Albie found himself drawn to her in a way he couldn't explain. Kelly, hearing about Nancy from Albie, was curious and eager to meet her. When they finally did, it was as if they had known each other forever. Nancy's enigmatic personality fascinated Kelly, and they quickly became close friends, sharing their dreams and aspirations. However, as the days turned into weeks, the dynamics between the three began to shift. Albie found himself spending more time with Nancy, his feelings for her growing stronger with each passing day. Kelly, too, felt a deep connection with Nancy, though her feelings were more complex and harder to define. The love triangle that formed was as beautiful as it was tragic. Albie, Kelly, and Nancy, each grappling with their emotions, found themselves entangled in a web of love, jealousy, and heartache. As they navigated this tumultuous journey, they would come to realize that some stories are meant to end not with a union, but with a lesson learned and a path chosen. Early relationships. Albie and Kelly had known each other for so long that their lives seemed incomplete without the other. They had spent countless hours on the sandy shores of Hemp, dreaming about their futures and sharing their deepest fears. Their friendship was a sanctuary, a safe space where they could be their true selves without any pretenses. Nancy's arrival disrupted the calm rhythm of their lives. Her presence was like a gust of wind that stirred everything up. Albie, ever the artist, saw in Nancy a muse like no other. He was captivated by her mystery, her grace, and the sadness that seemed to linger just beneath her surface. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Albie and Nancy found themselves walking along the shore. The sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, and the waves lapped gently at their feet. Albie felt a connection with Nancy that he couldn't quite explain. She was different from anyone he had ever met. "Tell me about yourself," he said, breaking the comfortable silence. Nancy looked out at the sea, her expression contemplative. "There's not much to tell," she replied. "I'm just trying to find my place in the world." Albie nodded, sensing there was more to her story. He wanted to know everything about her, but he didn't want to push her. Instead, he shared his dreams of becoming a renowned artist, of traveling the world and painting its beauty. Kelly, on the other hand, found herself drawn to Nancy for different reasons. Nancy was like a character from one of Kelly's stories, full of depth and complexity. Kelly enjoyed their conversations, finding in Nancy a kindred spirit who understood the power of words and imagination. One afternoon, as they sat in Kelly's favorite cafe, Kelly shared her latest story idea with Nancy. It was a tale of love and loss, inspired by the sea that surrounded their town. "That's beautiful," Nancy said, her eyes shining with genuine admiration. "You have a gift, Kelly." Kelly blushed, feeling a warmth spread through her. She realized she was not just seeking Nancy's friendship, but her approval and validation as well. Growing tensions. As Albie and Kelly spent more time with Nancy, the dynamics of their friendship began to shift. Albie's feelings for Nancy grew stronger, and he found himself thinking about her constantly. He tried to capture her essence in his paintings, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't seem to do her justice. Kelly, meanwhile, was experiencing a different kind of confusion. She valued her friendship with Nancy deeply, but she couldn't ignore the growing distance between her and Albie. They no longer shared the same easy camaraderie, and Kelly missed their long conversations and shared dreams. One evening, as they sat by the hemp, Kelly decided to confront Albie about the changes in their relationship. "Albie, do you ever feel like things are different between us now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Albie looked at her, surprise and guilt flashing in his eyes. "What do you mean?" he asked, though he knew exactly what she was talking about. "I mean, ever since Nancy came into our lives, it feels like we're drifting apart," Kelly said, her voice trembling with emotion. "I miss our friendship, Albie." Albie sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know, Kelly. I feel it too. It's just... Nancy is so different. She's... special?" Kelly finished for him, her heart sinking. "Yes," Albie admitted. "But that doesn't mean I care any less about you, Kelly. You're my best friend, and you always will be." Kelly forced a smile, but the ache in her heart remained. She couldn't help but wonder if Albie's feelings for Nancy would eventually overshadow their friendship completely. Nancy, meanwhile, was oblivious to the growing tensions between Albie and Kelly. She was dealing with her own inner turmoil, trying to come to terms with her past and find her place in the world. She appreciated Albie's attention and Kelly's friendship, but she was also wary of getting too close to either of them. Conflict and climax. The tension between Albie, Kelly, and Nancy reached a boiling point one evening during the town's annual festival. The streets were alive with music and laughter, and the air was filled with the scent of freshly baked treats and the salty tang of the sea. Albie had spent the entire day with Nancy, showing her around the festival and introducing her to the townspeople. Kelly, feeling left out, had joined a group of friends but kept an eye on Albie and Nancy, her heart aching with jealousy and longing. As the night wore on, Albie and Nancy found themselves alone on the beach, away from the noise and excitement of the festival. They sat side by side, the waves crashing gently at their feet. "Nancy, there's something I need to tell you," Albie said, his voice barely audible above the sound of the waves. Nancy turned to him, her expression curious. "What is it, Albie?" Albie took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. "I've fallen in love with you, Nancy. I know it's sudden, but I can't help how I feel." Nancy's eyes widened in surprise, and she looked away, her mind racing. She hadn't expected this. She valued Albie's friendship and admired his talent, but she wasn't sure if she felt the same way. "Albie, I don't know what to say," she stammered, her voice trembling. "You're a wonderful person, but..." Before she could finish, Kelly appeared, having overheard their conversation. Her eyes were filled with hurt and anger, and she couldn't hold back her emotions any longer. "Albie, how could you?" Kelly cried, tears streaming down her face. "You're breaking my heart." Albie turned to Kelly, his expression stricken. "Kelly, I didn't mean to hurt you. I..." "Save it, Albie," Kelly interrupted, her voice cold. "I don't want to hear your excuses. You've already made your choice." Nancy stood up, her eyes filled with guilt and confusion. "Kelly, I never meant to come between you and Albie. I think it's best if I leave." Kelly shook her head, her anger giving way to sadness. "It's not your fault, Nancy. This is something Albie and I need to figure out." With that, Kelly turned and walked away, leaving Albie and Nancy standing alone on the beach. Albie watched her go, his heart heavy with regret and guilt. "Nancy, I'm so sorry," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I never wanted to hurt her." Nancy placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch gentle and comforting. "It's not your fault, Albie. Sometimes things just don't work out the way we want them to." Resolution and realizations. In the days that followed, the three friends struggled to come to terms with their feelings and the fallout from that fateful night. Albie and Kelly barely spoke, the distance between them growing wider with each passing day. Nancy, feeling like an intruder in their lives, decided it was time to leave Hemp and start anew elsewhere. One afternoon, as Nancy packed her belongings, Albie came to see her. He looked tired and worn, the weight of his decisions evident on his face. "Nancy, are you really leaving?" he asked, his voice filled with sadness. Nancy nodded, her heart heavy. "Yes, Albie. I think it's for the best. I need to find my own path, and I can't do that here." Albie sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I understand. I just wish things could have been different." Nancy smiled softly, a bittersweet expression on her face. "So do I, Albie. But sometimes we have to let go of the things we love to find ourselves." Albie nodded, tears welling up in his eyes. "I'll miss you, Nancy." "I'll miss you too, Albie," Nancy replied, her voice breaking. "Take care of yourself." With that, Albie left, leaving Nancy to finish packing. As she closed her suitcase, she felt a mixture of relief and sadness. She knew this was the right decision, but it didn't make it any easier. Meanwhile, Kelly was grappling with her own emotions. She missed Albie terribly, but she couldn't ignore the hurt he had caused her. She decided it was time to focus on herself and her dreams. She needed to find her own path, just as Nancy had. One evening, as the sun set over Hemp, Kelly sat by the shore, her journal in hand. She poured her heart into her writing, finding solace in the familiar rhythm of her pen on paper. She realized that while her heart was broken, she still had her dreams and her passion for storytelling. Albie, too, was on a journey of self-discovery. He realized that his feelings for Nancy had overshadowed his friendship with Kelly, and he deeply regretted the pain he had caused. He decided to leave Hemp and pursue his dream of becoming a renowned artist. He knew he needed to find his own path and make amends for his mistakes. Conclusion. Several years later, the three former friends found themselves in different parts of the world, each pursuing their dreams and finding their own paths. Albie had become a successful artist, his paintings renowned for their emotional depth and beauty. He had found peace in his art, using it as a way to express his emotions and make sense of his experiences. Though he often thought of Kelly and Nancy, he knew that their time together had been a necessary part of his journey. Kelly had become a celebrated author, her stories touching the hearts of readers around the world. She had traveled extensively, gathering experiences and inspiration for her writing. Though she missed her old friends, she knew that their parting had been essential for her growth and self-discovery. Nancy had found a new home in a distant city, where she had finally come to terms with her past and built a new life for herself. She had started a small business, helping others find peace and happiness in their lives. Though she often thought of Albie and Kelly, she knew that their separation had been necessary for all of them to find their own paths. One day, as the sun set over their respective worlds, each of them found themselves thinking back to their time in hemp. They reflected on the love, the heartache, and the lessons they had learned. They realized that though they had gone their separate ways, their time together had shaped them into who they were today. And so, despite the pain of unfulfilled love, Albie, Kelly, and Nancy found solace in their individual journeys, realizing that sometimes, parting ways is the best way to truly grow and find oneself. The waves of hemp continued to kiss the shore, whispering secrets to those who cared to listen, a reminder of the beautiful and tragic love triangle that had once been. If you liked the video, then please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.